Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 7, Episode 6. And before we get started, I want to give a quick PSA that if you notice any bots in the comments talking about I'm the Brooke Ashley and I'm giving away phone giveaways, please know that that is not me, that's a bot. Those are scammers on the other end. There is only one, the Brooke Ashley on YouTube, and that is right here. And y'all know me well enough that I would never ask you for any personal information. I would never ask you for your credit card information, none of that. If you see me advertising something, it is from brands that have paid me to advertise on this channel. It is not going to be me down in those comments talking about, well, if you give me your information, I'll ship out some phones to you. A lot of you guys notified me over this weekend that you were getting all these bot messages, and once again, that is not me. Please make sure to report, block, let YouTube know. I've let YouTube know that that is not me and that they need to be banned permanently. But now that we've gotten that out the way, I have to say that this episode really had me irritated. And that's an understatement. But Mia has got to go. Gizelle, you also need to go. This storyline is not it, and your story keeps changing. It is clear that Wendy and Candiace are the targets yet again. And another thing, I don't know if you guys have felt like this, but it just seems like ever since season 5 happened, this show has not been the same. I am an OG watcher since season 1, okay? And the vibe was a lot lighter, no pun intended. But the vibe was a lot more carefree. It was fun shade. It was some drama, but it wasn't to this extent. But y'all, let me jump right on into this recap because you guys already can tell that I have a lot to say and we don't have a minute to spare. So we start the episode off right where we left it last week with the ladies at the winery, and Wendy's burn session has gone completely off the rails. So you have Ashley running her mouth talking about, well, Candiace, I've heard that your husband, Chris, has been in several other DMs and they weren't as innocent as mine. Now, first of all, Ashley, let me just check you once again because we've already established that Chris didn't just DM you. He was replying to your story. So again, let's not. So when I tell you that Candiace, let it be known that she is not the one or the two. She says, okay, you want to play this game, then let's play. Because your husband likes to leave you and go over and see a man by the name of, now we didn't catch his name because they blurred it out, but she said that Michael goes to this man's house and he allegedly likes to suck this particular man's you-know-what. YouTube acts real weird, so I have to just censor myself, but you know what I mean. So the whole group is shocked. Then you have Ashley talking about, are we deflecting? It sounds like deflection. It's so funny to me how it's deflection when you talk about Ashley and her raggedy marriage, but she's allowed to spread lies about other people's marriages. So that's not deflection? Only when your marriage is talked about? How does that work? And we also learned from Candiace that Michael Darby is allegedly a client of this man that she's talking about. Now, me personally, with all the proof that we've seen about Michael Darby over the years, with him groping people, the butt grabbing, the pictures of him in hotel rooms with people besides his wife, I definitely believe what Candiace is saying about him hiring an escort. And did anybody notice how shook Ashley was when Candiace said that? She was probably thinking like, oh my gosh, like how did she find this out? So now Ashley says, I hear things about Michael all the time and I just sit with it and I process it and I don't care. Now, Ashley, that's very funny for you to say that you process what you hear about Michael because every time there have been allegations against Michael, you're the first one to defend this man. There was proof about him groping people, grabbing butts, and you sat up there and you lied for him, defended him. So I don't believe that you just sit there and process what's being said about him. So Candiace says, girl, please stop. You come from a very decrepit and disrespectful marriage. Like, don't speak about my marriage. So now you have Ashley saying, well, like I said, the pendulum always swings the other way. It don't feel too good now, don't it? So when I tell you, Candiace had me screaming when she said, oh no, honey, we know the Lord. The rest of this scene really pissed me off because the fact that Wendy was really trying to put together a nice event for them to hash out their issues respectfully, and once again, the Green-Eyed Bandits and Ashley ruined the entire event. There was no reason for this to have gone left. And Ashley, you know good and well that you were dead wrong to bring this up in front of the group like that. So at this point, everybody gets up to leave. You have Karen and Mia going back to the Sprinter van to check on Robin. Robin's talking about, I'm still in the Sprinter van because I'm waiting on my Uber. And I'm thinking, there was no reason for you to just leave early like that and make that scene in the last episode. I just don't understand why you have all this hate towards Wendy. So you have Wendy and Ashley still sitting at the table, and Ashley says, I know things went left, but I had to bring this up in front of Gizelle. So Wendy's like, girl, why'd you do that? Like, what was the point? So Ashley goes on to say that when she went to Candace's house the other day, Candace kept talking about how phony Gizelle was being, and she thought that Gizelle needed to hear that. Once again, Candace, you should have never had that woman in your home. Like I said, you don't invite people who don't wish you well inside of your home. Your home is sacred. I don't play that. If I did feel so compelled to meet up with somebody that I don't care for, it would be in a public space, like a restaurant or maybe a park. But she damn sure would not be in my $1 million home. Absolutely not. And one of y'all made such a good point in the comments that the reason why Ashley did this because she got jealous when she saw that gorgeous home that Candace is living in. Because remember how she wants a home of her own and Michael won't sign off on it. So it seems like some jealousy crept in, and that's why she said, you know what, let me start some mess on purpose. And I can definitely see that. I have always felt that Ashley is jealous of Candace because Candace comes from money and she didn't have to marry some old decrepit creep 40 years older than her to get a bag. So now Ashley adds that because Mia also had a story about how Chris was checking her out, she just feels that Candace should know all this and maybe check in with Chris on why he's being so extra friendly. I said, oh, the same way that you checked on your husband for groping people for 6 seasons straight? Girl, stop. And you could say what you want about Candace, but Candace's face card is valid. That is a beautiful woman. And I can assure you that Chris does not want anybody in this group. And Ashley, that was just so low and so disgusting when you went on to add that your friend Deborah was asking you if Chris and Candace were even together because he kept checking her out at the bar at Karen's party. And when they played that tape, and we saw that Chris was on his phone while your friend was ordering a drink, I said, what a joke. The delusions of it all. And also, Deborah, you are extremely thirsty because how embarrassing. You're up there on Instagram putting RHOP in your bio and then talking about God is great. You're not even a friend of the show. You are an extra. You've said a few lines in one episode, and now you're putting RHOP in your bio? The definition of just thirsty. And Ashley, you have another thought coming if you think that you're gonna run Candace off the show to bring your desperate, thirsty, boring friend on this show. That's not happening.
No.
So now we flip to Gizelle and Candace talking outside, and Candace is not having it at all. Gizelle is trying to make small talk, talking about, oh, look how pretty it is out here. And Candace said, yeah, like it's cute. Let's just sit down and talk. So Candace starts it off by saying, the last time we talked, things got heated and I had to excuse myself, but I want to just sit down with you and be clear on your feelings and how you feel about everything. So Candiace goes on and says, you mentioned that you guys were in a dressing room together and you felt uncomfortable. Is that correct? So Gizelle says, yes, that's correct. So Candiace says, okay then, well, what exactly made you feel uncomfortable? So Gizelle says, I'm with a man that does not belong to me in a dressing room with the door closed. And then she says, I told Chris to go outside and he did that, but I just want to let you know how I felt. So Candiace says, well, all right, because when I spoke to Chris about it, he told me that he said we should talk and you suggested to talk in your dressing room. And he was the one who suggested that you guys keep the door open. So here goes Gizelle talking about, well, I don't recall him saying that, but if he did say that, then that means that he knows that it was inappropriate. I said this has to be the dumbest thing that I have ever heard in my entire life, because at the end of the day, Gizelle is a grown woman who knows what her boundaries are. And before she stepped foot in that dressing room, when she saw that her glam was not there, she could have easily closed that door and said, hey, Chris, let's just talk out here. And I'm sure Chris would have gladly obliged. So this whole entire thing is absolute BS. And it's so sick that you want to use this as a storyline. And I was so proud of Candiace in this conversation because although she was so pissed, she was holding it together so well. And I loved when Candiace pointed out that Gizelle is trying to act like there was some malintent. And when she said, you're acting as if he lured you into this dressing room. And when Gizelle denied it, and she said, that's not what I'm doing. And Candiace said, that is what you're doing. And here's the clincher. If you felt this uncomfortable, then why wasn't this brought up immediately after the reunion? Why did you sit on this for 5 months? If I felt that uncomfortable, I would have taken this to Candiace and Chris the very next day. I would not sit on this for 5 months and then all of a sudden bring this up when the cameras come around. So Candiace wants to get to the bottom of this. She's like, look, did you feel like there was malintent involved? So now Gizelle says, well, I don't know, Candiace, like that's on Chris. And I'm thinking, see, this is where things get dangerous because you're throwing out buzzwords, but now you want to backtrack and say, well, I don't know. Well, only he knows. If you claim that you felt uncomfortable or you felt like somebody was trying to push a boundary, you're pretty much implying that you do feel like there was malintent on their part. No? Am I crazy? If I'm crazy, then let me know down in the comments. But I would like to believe that I am in my right frame of mind because this makes absolutely no sense and Gizelle is trying it. So at this point, Candiace is just livid and she's trying to fight back the tears. And she says, the fact that you would wait to say this on a huge platform and pretty much try to hurt somebody who has been nothing but good to you is disgusting. And then Candiace adds that Gizelle is the reason why other women don't feel comfortable coming forward with their essay allegations. So now Gizelle says, are you serious right now, Candiace? Like, I can't believe this. Then she goes on to say that if anything, she's an advocate for women to come forward because she felt uncomfortable and she's not lying. So Candiace and Gizelle's conversation is over. Gizelle heads back to the bus. Candiace is wiping her eyes and she says that Gizelle knows the implications of what she's saying and how Gizelle is evil. And once again, Candiace, we all tried to warn you. We were all telling you, don't get comfortable around Gizelle. Yes, she's being nice to you, but I always felt like she was just tolerating you for the most part. Like, I never saw a real friendship. I saw her coming around and being nice to get some free food out of Chris. And she liked you more than she liked some other people on the show, but really and truly, I never thought that she would be this great friend to you. The only way to deal with people like Gizelle is being aloof. Honestly and truly. You can't be too nice or too friendly to those types. You need to just be very much unbothered, like, girl, I really don't care. Hi, bye, some small talk, but just giving that distance, like, we don't have to be friends. We can be acquaintances, but you can't let folks like her know that you want to be their friend, because they will turn on you and use your own thirst against you every single time. But Candiace, take this as a lesson learned, because Gizelle is not and will not ever be your friend. So now we close this scene out with Gizelle back on the Sprinter van, and she's telling Robin what happened. She's like, girl, you missed a whole lot. Ashley was saying that Chris was also propositioning her friend. He was touching her butt. And I said, no, hold on. Ashley never said any of that. Ashley said that Chris was in other people's DMs and that her friend Deborah felt uncomfortable. Ashley never said anything about Chris touching anybody's butt. Unless production edited that part out, I don't remember hearing Ashley saying that. And the way that production has been outing quite a few of these liars, I strongly believe that had Ashley said something about Chris was touching somebody's butt, they would have aired that. They most likely would not have cut that part out. Do you see how Gizelle is always putting some extra sauce on a story, making things more salacious and worse than what it was? And then you have her saying, this whole event was a disaster. Wendy still can't own up to anything. And I said, but Wendy was trying to own up to stuff. She made it clear that she was willing to hear any critiques that they had about her. When Mia said that she was condescending and dismissive, she took it. Like I said, you and Robin have made a pact to be nasty to Wendy for no reason. For all my Beverly Hills watchers, it's giving very much Fox Force 5 trying to ice out Sutton and Garcelle. So now we jump to the next scene with Ashley at the lawyer's office. So she meets with the lawyer, Michelle Thomas, and so they sit down to discuss everything that's going on. And Michelle's asking Ashley what brought her to this point. So Ashley says that when her and Michael first got together, they had a very adventurous and loose sex life since she's a bisexual woman. So she goes on to say that they enjoyed threesomes and all that stuff, but things changed after she had her kids. She no longer wanted that. She wanted monogamy. Now, Ashley, like I've said in prior recaps, you can't change anybody, and how you start is how you finish. So it was very naive and foolish of you to think that Michael would go from opening up your marriage to now just being the two of you guys. Michael does not want a monogamous situation. He wants an open marriage. He probably had a normal marriage his first time around, and he probably said, okay, the second time around, let me get somebody who is down with what I want. And when you try to flip the script on him, he said, shout out to everybody, I have fun.
Oh! Shout out to everybody, I have fun.
I gotta be good.
So now Michelle wants to know if there was a prenup. Ashley says, yes, there is a prenup. I think in the prenup, they both agreed to any wealth that Michael acquired before they were married, that's going to remain his. But since their 8th wedding anniversary just passed a month ago, she says that now any wealth that he's made since they've been married, it's now marital property. I said, she made sure to know that. So Ashley brings up that Michael pretty much does not want lawyers involved. He wants to send her a proposal. So Michelle says, look, can you trust him with this proposal? And also, the primary breadwinner, the one holding all the cards, they generally don't want lawyers involved, so you really can't trust him. And I don't know if Ashley is dumb or just hard-headed, but when she said, well, I'm still going to check out the proposal, and if I feel like he's trying to cheat me, then I'll go forward with hiring a lawyer. And I'm thinking, Ashley, listen to the lawyer. listen to some sound advice, please. Go with the lawyer. Do not look at any proposal. Do you honestly feel like Michael Darby is going to play fair with you in this divorce? Like, be real with yourself for just a minute. Dealing with men like Michael Darby, you need to hire the best lawyers that money can buy, along with a forensic accountant, to make sure that he's not hiding any money. I remember Sutton brought that up on Beverly Hills in one of the seasons. She said that when she got divorced from her ex-husband, she hired a forensic accountant and found out that they owned all these businesses. They owned a baseball team. So, Ashley, do not cheat yourself. Make sure that you hire the best team so that you can get the most money. Because I promise you, that proposal is going to be nothing but BS. So now Ashley says that she has one more question, and she wants to know, is it a wise idea to purchase a home together? So Michelle makes it clear that that's not a good idea at all, and unless Michael were to put it in writing that the house is a gift to her, then he could always put in a claim and snatch that house back. So she says, unless he'll sign something agreeing to giving you the house, then again, that's not the best idea. You're better off buying it on your own. Honestly, this might be my last time discussing Ashley and these divorce scenes because I don't care. It's boring. Just Ashley's logic is just stupid. I don't know why it's pulling teeth to get this woman to hire a lawyer and fight this battle for her. She thinks that she can fight Michael by herself, and it's just stupid. I'm not interested, and again, I really don't care. So we flip to the next scene with Mia having a spa day with her friend Jacqueline and Miss Charisse. I was laughing because I said it's evident that nobody else wants to film with Mia, because the fact that all of her scenes have been with either Gordon or Jacqueline, I have to laugh. And I said, it's real clear that Miss Charisse has made it known that she is free to film whatever scene, because why is she here? Her and Mia literally just met like 3 episodes ago. But anyhow, Mia says that she just loves Charisse so much, how Charisse is such a vibe, and how she really loves the fact that Charisse doesn't care because her eyelashes are always sliding down her face. I was thinking, so do you like Charisse or not? Because why shade her about her eyelashes? So they're all getting pedicures, and Charisse is asking Mia how she's doing health-wise. So Mia says, well, thank you for asking. Right now I'm good. I still have the swollen lymph node and a lump, but that can be removed later because it's not urgent. Now, I am no doctor, I am no health expert, but personally, if I had a swollen lymph node and some lumps, I would want that removed immediately. I would not wait. I got the impression that Charisse was not buying it either. She was looking at Mia like, that sounds pretty bad to me, and you're saying that it's not urgent, but okay, I guess if you say so. At this point, everybody's so accustomed to Mia's lies and half-truths, so is it really any surprise what comes out of her mouth? No. Now, this part of the conversation was a bit strange to me because it sounded like Jacqueline was saying that Mia is doing charity work for foster kids. Is that what she said? It sounded like she mumbled it, but anyhow, they get on the topic of Mia's childhood, and we learn that Jacqueline's mom took Mia in when she was a teenager. So Mia's telling Charisse a bit of her life story about how her mom was on drugs and her dad was in prison, and how her father passed away in prison, and Jacqueline was there for all of it. So they both go on to say that they're pretty much sisters. Now, let me pause for a minute, because for you and Jacqueline to have been friends since you were 15 years old, her mom took you in and took care of you, to now she comes on the show as a friend of, and since filming has wrapped, you guys are no longer friends. I am so curious to find out what happened, because how do you go from we're sisters, we fight like sisters, we love like sisters, like she's pretty much my family, I would want G to marry you if I should pass away. How do you go from all of that to now you guys can't stand each other? That's a hot mess right there. But honestly, I'm not surprised, because Mia and her friend seem like two thirsty individuals, so I'm not surprised to hear that this show has now come in between them. So Mia changes the topic, and now she announces that she's taking all the women on a girls' trip to Miami. And then did you guys hear her when she said, I'm taking all these women to another state? And I was like, yes, Mia, good job. Miami is not in Maryland. Like, girl, what? I don't know. I just think that Mia is a nut. I really do. Something is not quite right with her. But Mia's going on about how this trip is going to be a first-class 5-star trip. And I said, I'll be the judge of that. And Mia, the way I'm about to drag you for that room situation, because you tried it, okay? And you want to talk about 5-star when it was giving 3 stars. I'll be nice and say 3.5 stars, but more on that later. But we see some quick clips of Gizelle in her confessional. She says that she can't wait. She's excited for the trip. Then we see Candace saying that she's going to be in Miami a bit later because she has some things that she's working on, but she's excited too. And then we see Karen saying that she's excited for the trip as well, and the trip also falls on her birthday. Oh, a quick side note, Karen's new confessional look, that's it. That hair, the waves, and it's like messy, it's really sexy. The makeup, that white outfit, yes. Karen, keep that look. That's a yes from me. I love it. So Charisse is asking about the accommodations, and Mia says, oh, I've rented this gorgeous house, but the only caveat is it's 6 bedrooms and we have 9 women. Now, bravo, I'm gonna need y'all to put these women in hotels or just get a house that has enough bedrooms for everybody. Because I'm getting sick and tired of this whole fighting for rooms. Somebody gets a really awful room, they have to share a twin bed. Like, it's not cool. I was really irritated when Mia went on to say, I'm giving all the women that I like a good room and all the women I can't stand a bad room. We already know how she feels about Wendy and Candiace, so they're both getting terrible rooms. And then when she went on to say that she just can't stand Wendy, Wendy just irritates her so badly, but Wendy's invited. And I'm thinking, once again, you have been unable to articulate why you can't stand Wendy so much. I thought that you and Wendy were good when you said your piece at Wendy's burn session. It just feels very forced that you want to have this beef with Wendy. You don't think it's strange that you're able to forgive Gizelle and Robin when they were sitting up there clowning your health at a party, talking about, oh, so this is what cancer, no cancer looks like? So you can forgive that, but you can't forgive whatever slights Wendy gave to you in last season that we all thought that you had resolved. But you know, what do I know? Because every time I say something about why I think it might be that way, folks get on me talking about, girl, you're projecting, you're reaching, that's not what it is. And I'm not fighting with anybody, so I'll let you all guess down below as to why I believe Mia doesn't like Wendy or Candace. But again, I digress. So now we flip to a short scene with Wendy and Eddie at home. They're talking and their baby girl Cameron is there. And when I tell you guys, I think that Wendy and Eddie have such a beautiful family, just adorable. But anyhow, Wendy brings up how she's been trying to journal. She's happy that her mom is out of the hospital. Remember how her mom had a health scare that she shared with us in the last week's episode? So then she also says that it's time for her to just rest and smell the tulips. So now they change gears in the conversation and they bring up the whole restaurant idea with Peter Thomas. Eddie makes it clear that that $300,000 investment is going to put a major strain on their finances. So Wendy agrees and she's like, yeah, I'm sort of putting that whole thing on pause because you're right, it will put a strain on our finances. I'm glad that Eddie just broke it down plainly, like, look, we don't have it like that to be throwing that kind of money out there for a restaurant slash lounge that might not even break even. Because we all know how tough the restaurant industry is. I've read that I think, like 95% of new restaurants fail and have to close down. So that is a huge risk. And it's an even bigger risk when that's pretty much all your money. But I said, good for Eddie for just shutting this whole thing down. So now we don't have to go any more episodes talking about this whole restaurant storyline and will they or won't they. So now Wendy brings up how the whole burn session that she hosted was a complete flop. And it also turned into a roast Wendy session, and she took a lot of accountability. And then Wendy brings up the Miami trip that Mia invited them all to, and she says that despite her being at odds with several of the women, she's still excited because it's Miami. And I feel the same way because I love Miami. Miami is definitely one of my happy places. Like, I just feel so at peace there, like, love it. But we all know that in next week's episode, all hell breaks loose because Mia shows her entire ass. So now we get to the next scene with Gizelle, Robin, and Ashley doing some last minute shopping for Miami. So Ashley's informing her two besties that Michael's in the Bahamas right now. And I said, oh, I wonder who he's with. I said, it seems like ever since they announced this divorce, Michael has been on all these trips. In last week's episode, he was in Vegas. Now he's in the Bahamas. Then the next episode, he'll probably be in Aruba. Like, it just seems like he wants to be out of that penthouse. So anyhow, Ashley says that things are cordial between them and how they actually talked about money for the first time. And it seems like the conversation got a bit heated because Michael told Ashley, how dare you try to act like I would sneak something past you? And I'm thinking, Michael, stop. You just want her to stop asking questions so that you can just shut her up with a few dollars and do this without the lawyers. Ashley, you're a fool to listen to whatever Michael has to say. So we also find out that the LLC isn't even up and running. Gizelle is completely over it. She's like, none of Ashley's stories make any sense. At the end of the day, Ashley does not need this man. So they get off the whole topic of this stupid divorce. And now Gizelle says, well, in other news, we're going to Miami and Ashley, you and Candace need to talk. So now Robin says, Ashley, what happened? Like, why did it turn into a full-blown argument between you guys? So here goes Gizelle instigating, and she can't help herself. So she's like, I mean, Candace was talking about Michael goes to this man's house to get his you-know-what sucked and all that stuff. And then Robin says, oh, well, Candace told me that years ago. Like, she's been sitting on this tea for quite some time. Ashley is a bit surprised hearing this, and she's like, wait, what? And Robin says, yeah, Candace told me this years ago, but you know what? It's not my story to tell. So Ashley says, no, you have to tell me right now. So Robin says that Candace told her that she knows this high-end escort, and Michael Darby allegedly solicits services from him. So Ashley says, well, that's interesting, but I don't care and I don't believe the story. I don't care what anybody says. You cannot convince me that Ashley has not seen a few things while being married to Michael. And when production was asking Robin and Gizelle if they believe the stories, and Robin said, look, I don't put anything past anybody, especially Michael Darby. And then Gizelle said, I mean, we all know that Michael has a thing for wine, so if this escort looks like wine, then I believe it. So since they're on the topic of Wendy's event and what Candace said about Michael, Gizelle brings up her conversation with Candace, and she says, you know, we had a nice conversation, and I forgot about it until I saw Chris Bassett tweeting about me. So Robin says that Candace is dramatizing everything to Chris, and that's why he's looking at them all in a bad light. And then you have Gizelle saying that she's not understanding Chris and Candace's dynamic and how Candace needs to put a stop to Chris tweeting about her. And then we end the scene with Gizelle saying that she wants nothing to do with Chris Bassett, and if he were to walk into this store right now, she would tell him, go F yourself. So I'm thinking, you are putting out very serious allegations saying that this man made you uncomfortable. You are trying to imply that something sinister happened, and you have the audacity and the gall to be upset at this man for trying to clear his name? That's crazy to me. It's weird because Gizelle is also somebody who wants to be the villain and the victim at the same time. Now, I just want to add this in. I don't know if you guys caught any of Chris Bassett going live on TikTok right after the episode aired. I watched a few minutes of it, and you can tell that he is really hurt by what's going on. And he cannot believe that somebody would stoop so low to use this as their storyline. Once again, we don't watch these shows to be stressed out and pissed off and aggravated. I mean, these kind of storylines and these kind of insinuations really bring the show down. A lot of people are opting out of watching certain franchises because of how dark things have gotten. And if things don't change, I could definitely see the ratings for Potomac tanking because nobody's gonna keep watching this. So now it's the day of the Miami trip. All the ladies arrive to the airport. Mind you, Candiace is coming in a few days later because she's working on some projects. So anyhow, it was so funny because when Karen saw Charisse at the airport, she gave her the fakest hello. And she was like, now would I have invited Charisse? No, but it's Mia's trip, so I'ma just roll with it. I said, Karen, just pay Charisse dust. It's your birthday. Don't stress or upset yourself about anything, okay? Like, just have a good time. So now we see all them touch down in Miami, and they're split up in two different cars on their way to the house. So it's Gizelle, Karen, Mia, and Jacqueline in car A, and then Wendy, Robin, Ashley, and Charisse in car B. Now Mia is petty to have Wendy and Robin in the same car together, knowing that they don't get along. But anyhow, they're all on their way to the house. Mia says that they're staying in this fabulous $12 million home, but it's only 6 bedrooms. Now, me personally, I'm a hotel girl. If you're new to this channel, one thing about it, I love a 5-star hotel. Love. Can't get enough. And the way I would have been checked in at the Ritz-Carlton South Beach, one of my favorite hotels, okay? Like, don't play with me. When it comes to the accommodations, please don't play in my face. I will be right at a hotel so fast because I'm going to have my own bed and my own space and my own robe and slippers and room service and concierge, damn it. Like, you're not going to play with me today. But we see Wendy asking the ladies about the room situation. She's like, do you guys know if we're getting our own rooms? Like, are we sharing a room? And Robin and Ashley and Charisse are like, oh, like, I don't know. Now, mind you, Mia let Charisse pick out her own room before the trip. So she already knows that she has her own room and doesn't have to share. Now, I said, Charisse, how are you, a friend of the show, getting first dibs on your own room? Like, you're not even a full-time cast member. Something tells me that Mia wants to kiss up to you because she thinks that you have a lot of money and connections, and she's hoping to be a part of your inner circle because I was confused as to how Charisse was able to pick out her room. But anyhow, I digress. So now we cut to the other ladies in the car, and Gizelle is asking Jacqueline about how long was she married, and then Jacqueline reveals that they were never married. And I was thinking, so Jacqueline, when you were at Robin's Family Fun Day, and you guys were talking about threesomes and your marriages, why were you lying saying that you were married when you weren't? I said, that's why you and Mia get along so well, because you lied too. So now they all pull up to the house, and I was screaming because Wendy, Ashley, Robin, and Charisse were not impressed with the neighborhood at all. Wendy was like, She has us in this residential neighborhood. You see a grandma walking down the street like, girl, what is this? And I was surprised too because I just knew that Mia was gonna have them in a house on Star Island. But the house was pretty. I will give Mia a point for that. But Mia, you promised these girls a house on the beach. And Gizelle was like, okay, but where's the beach? Because there's no beach. And I said, once again, Mia continues to dole out half-truths and overpromise and underdeliver. Now, Mia, I'm going to give you another point because you had the chef there. The food looked good. My mouth was watering. That jerk chicken and that peach cobbler shortbread looked fantastic. And you had some pasta. So I said, okay, another point for you. Now, did anybody catch that really weird comment that Jacqueline made when they were getting their food? And Jacqueline said to Mia, do you want to put the chef on your plate? And when Mia was like, no, girl, like I'm celebrating my 10th wedding anniversary. And I said, that's a very interesting comment to make. I said, let me find out that Mia's sitting up there complaining about being with that old man that she's most likely not even attracted to. Because I found that statement very weird. I said, why would Jacqueline say that? So while they're all eating, Mia's letting them know about their room assignments. She says that she wants them all to get settled in before dinner later on. So she says that each room is named after like a stripper movie or a show. And Charisse's room name was P-Valley. I love that show, by the way. And I am so happy that they have been renewed for a season 3. I said, won't he do it? But again, I digress. So I think Wendy's room was called Show Wives. And then Gizelle and Robin's room name was called Hustlers. I forgot what Karen's room name was. I think it was like Potomac Teas or something like that. But anyhow, she hands out their cards for each lady's room. And then she says, that's Candace's card right there. Nobody touch it. So they all go off to their own rooms. Robin and Gizelle are sharing a room. They're a bit annoyed. They're like, okay, I know we're best friends and all, but can we have our own room like once? And we see the flashbacks of all the times they've been on cast trips where they shared a room. So Karen has her own room since it's her birthday, and Charisse has her room, but Charisse is pissed because her room does not have a bathroom attached to it. So she's like, oh no, like I can't do this. She goes on to say, I sleep naked and I snore. Like, oh no, I need better accommodations. Like, this is not gonna work. And once again, Charisse, you should have been in a hotel in the first place because you're not a full-time cast member. Of course, Wendy's room was just okay. The bed was small. And I was like, yeah, if I were Wendy, I probably would have said, you know what, Mia, I'm going to stay in a hotel and I'll meet up with you guys later on because something tells me that you're setting me up. And we find out because of Ashley, she can't help herself. She goes and takes Candace's card to see what room she's in. And sure enough, she's sharing the room with Wendy. So you have Ashley over there giggling with Robin and Gizelle. And they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And then you have Robin talking about, I'm so happy that Wendy's sharing a room with Candace because she's the meanest person on this cast. And I was just so confused. Like, once again, can you please make it make sense as to why you hate Wendy so bad? And how dare you say that Wendy is the meanest person on this cast? Are you serious right now? Do you hear the words coming out of your mouth? Not when you have your best friend Gizelle on this cast and then Ashley. There is no way you could ever fix your mouth to say that Wendy is meaner than either one of them. I know you don't like Wendy, but don't sit here and lie. And then you have Ashley being so goofy, talking about, you know, it's just so shady of Mia to put them in that small bed together. And I'm sure that Wendy's gonna crush Candace because she's so tall and Candace is so small. And it's like, you're okay with being this hateful? You really need some help. And Ashley, why do you care so much about where Candace is sleeping? Like, I just don't get it. So now we see Wendy asking Mia where Candace is sleeping, and Mia's like, why should I be concerned? And it's like, because you're the hostess of this trip? Like, what don't you get? I said, Mia, it's so funny because you want to act like you're just so high end when you're really not. You are the epitome of tacky and low budget and just gauche. It's just so embarrassing to watch. So you have Cherise saying that she plans on getting a hotel room because her room has no bathroom and these accommodations are not up to par. So now we cut to Robin complaining about how she has to share a room with Gizelle yet again. And she's like, when is it going to be Karen's turn to share a room? Like, I don't get it. Because she's the oldest person in this group, is that why she gets a pass? And I said, Robin, you better stop coming for Karen because I saw that Karen read you down on Twitter. I couldn't stop laughing at how dramatic Cherise was when she said, I just got off the phone with my travel agent and he contacted 5 places for me to stay at. And I said, now, Cherise, you know that you can go on the app or just call the hotel up directly and book your stay. But we closed the episode out with Mia FaceTiming Peter Thomas, because remember that he has bar 1 in Miami, and she's telling him that she wants to swing by with all the ladies for dinner. And she's like, I have Gizelle with me, Robin's here, Wendy's here. And then Peter interrupts her and says, let Wendy know that me and her got beef. And may I just say that it seems like Peter is always looking for a moment. Because, Peter, you're too old to be talking about, well, let her know that we have beef. If you feel a type of way, contact Wendy and let her know that. You don't need to go through Mia to have Mia tell her that. Come on, that's very immature. But child, we see that later on in the night, Mia is going to throw her drink at Wendy, and then we see to be continued flash across the screen. Now, I'm trying to brace myself for next week's episode as we speak because I'm already pissed off. I can assure you that there is nothing that Wendy said that warranted that. I'm calling it right now that Mia is doing anything for a moment because she's desperate and she's a wannabe. And honestly, I think that Mia is a loser. If I'm being completely transparent with you all, I think that she's a very sorry woman. And then they're already showing the whole scene on Twitter. And we're gonna see Mia take her clutch out and hit Wendy as well. Absolutely pathetic. Mia, if you're trying to go down the same road as your predecessor from season 5, you're going down the wrong road and you're gonna be fired too. This is so sick. This has to be Mia's last season. I'm sorry, but I'm sick of her. She brings nothing to this show. And Mia, you want to sit up here and be all smug and nasty when meanwhile back at the ranch, Gordon's brothers are out here wiping your entire business accounts clean. And from your Instagram post, it seems like you guys are now penniless. But y'all, that was my recap for this episode. Not looking forward to next Sunday's episode, but all in all, I hope you guys enjoyed the recap. Thank you all so much for watching, and you already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all later. Bye.